Welcome to Talking Heads on USA Global TV, starring the one and only wonderful Dr. JACALYN. It's a prestigious place where world-class influencers and experts meet, and where you'll find the most trusted advisors and coaches for all things in life and business. Visit usaglobaltv.com to sign up for our newsletter, get the value you need, and be first in line to learn about events and giveaways and other valuable content. Connect with us. Email Dr. JACALYN at usaglobaltv.com to talk about how you can become part of USA Global TV. That's USA Global TV, where the doctor is always in.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to USA Global TV and to Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Corner Bookstore. And joining me for each and every episode is my friend, my colleague, my mentor, my coach, my queen of networking, DIANN BOEHM. She is so many things. She wears so many hats. Let's bring her out. This is our third show together this week. Welcome, DIANN.
Hi, great to be here, Dr. JACALYN.
It's so funny. We've never met in person, and yet I feel we're together because 3 times a week we do our shows together, which is wonderful.
I know. I mean, I think we are Zoom sisters as well as kindred spirits.
And the queens of StreamYard.
That's right.
That title. So, DIANN, for people who aren't aware, you belong to a number of groups, organizations that really support the work of writers and authors. And what I've learned is there's no competition. It's just community and a sense of togetherness and helping one another. Can you share a little bit more about that with our audience? And we've got a great guest backstage as well.
Yes, I'll be more than happy to. Yeah, I am so fortunate to finally, after many years, being published, but to know that it's so important to keep learning. And so I've joined several author groups who continue to teach me so many things and give me so tidbits. And that is the one thing, Dr. JACALYN, that I find so amazing coming out of the teaching world, is that no one is in competition. Everybody wants everyone to succeed in these groups. And I just love that. And Dr. JACALYN, I just was a guest, and will be all day long actually, for the Global Girls Book Club. I wanted to make sure I got that right. The Global Girls Book Club. And they are amazing. It's girls from around the world. And now I'm part of their community. And a big shout out to them. And I hope one of them will be on our show one day.
That's so exciting, DIANN. I don't know how you have time for everything, but you always do. You are the ultimate, consummate time management expert.
I don't know about that, but anyway, a couple of winks and power sleeps and I'm good.
Well, I'm so glad you're here. And we've got a comment. Sylvia, how are you, dear? Nice to see you. She put a really nice comment about me in the next one, but we don't have to share it. But thank you. I appreciate the compliment. That was very nice.
And I'm sure it's extremely well deserved.
Well, thank you. DIANN, before we bring out Max, who's backstage, I'm really excited to hear his story. I want to tee up a clip that's more important than ever. And it's one of yours, Song of Peace. So can you share some information with our audience before we play it?
Sure. Thank you so much. I was all ready for a different. Hello, everyone. So you're going to see a commercial that was actually done by Dr. JACALYN's team. And A Song of Peace is a book that I wrote. It was just recently produced and published. And it's all about wanting peace in the world and a little boy who has this dream of peace in the world. And it's a beautiful story and so appropriate for right now.
Yes, it is. All right, let's take a look and then we'll bring out Max. Okay, Song of Peace.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan.
Diann BOEHM's A Song of Peace tells the story of a young lad named Tommy whose fervent wish for peace on earth touches the hearts of his friends and family, spreads to his community, and eventually unites the whole world around making his dream of peace a reality for everyone. Sit down with the children in your life and share Tommy's amazing story of love and hope. Sing your own song of peace and invite the children to join you. Tommy's tale is more than just a story. It's a movement, and everyone's warmly welcome to take part.
Kapayapaan, kapayapaan, kapayapaan,
You'll find A Song of Peace, along with many other wonderful learning and enriching opportunities for children of all ages, at DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.com.
It warms your heart, doesn't it?
So beautiful. And a big shout out to Alcini, who is the voice of USA Global TV. He's also one of our co-hosts and a talking head and an elevated listener as well.
Yes.
So Diann, we've got Max backstage and he's accomplished so much. I just love that chat that we had. It was very quick, but it's like you could just feel this energy, positive energy and charisma that he has. And he helps so many people as a writer and as an editor, as a teacher, as an entrepreneur. Tell us how you met and then let's bring him out.
Sure. And you are right. He has all those things in his energy. I can't wait till everyone hears his voice. Max, I met through one of my author groups. Amy runs a group called Through the Eyes of Authors that I absolutely love. And Max was brought on to help us others become better writers. And he's already improved my writing.
Wow, that's fascinating. All right, let's bring him out. We want to help people out there. I know there are people who have 1, 2, 10, 15, 20 books in them, but they just have to start getting it out on a paper, computer, somewhere. Let's welcome someone who's going to help them with this.
That's right.
Hi, welcome to the show, Max. Nice to see you.
Good morning. Nice to see you.
Where are you joining us from today?
I am actually in a tiny little handmade studio in the back of my cottage in the beautiful Boulder, Colorado. So I have a view of the Flatirons, the foothills of the Rocky Mountains right now, and it's a beautiful sunny day. We're trying to work our way towards spring here.
Well, wonderful. You're only the second person we've ever had from Colorado. So that's
wow.
cool.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, I'm not a native Coloradan. I'm actually from Southern Virginia. So I'm very much a Southern boy, but it's a beautiful place to live out here, I will say.
Well, it shows because, as I mentioned, you just have this energy about you. It's like, wow, I want to get to know this guy. I want to know what he's up to. And you work with people all the time. And I imagine people are just drawn to you like a magnet because of all your accomplishments and the fact that you are a heart-centric person.
I hope so. You know, I'm very, very lucky. I'm very blessed. I get to do what I love for a living, and I do know how rare that is. And thankfully, I would probably be very bad at other things. So I'm always very aware of what a gift it is to be able to do what I do for a living. It's a real privilege to help people bring their ideas and their stories and their possibilities, their books, their practice, their craft to life. It's really nice. It's an amazing thing to be with them on that journey. Yeah.
Fantastic. And we've got a comment from Nat Nicholton. Hello. Thanks for joining us. Hello from Las Vegas. Yes.
Wow.
Hope everyone's doing well. We are. Thanks for watching over on YouTube. If you would subscribe to our channel, we would love it. Thanks again. Okay. I'm looking for here we go. We've got your banner up. So what I asked in the backstage is what you would like people to take away from the show. Would you share that?
Sure. Yeah. You know, I think that's such a wonderful question. And thank you for asking. I think it dovetails a lot with some of the things that you usually tell people about, you know, in the interviews that you do and a lot of what you all, the conversations that you all have with different working professionals, entrepreneurs, which is that you have to focus on what it is that you love. You know, in the time of COVID, we've had a look at our mortality. We've had a look at what we're really here for. We've had a chance to think about what is the work I came here to do. So if someone loves words and language and writing and stories, if that's part of what you love, then you can't let anybody take that away from you, including yourself. You can't talk yourself out of it. You can't let someone else tell you you're not good enough to do it. You can't believe that you're starting too late in your life. You have to jump in right from where you are. And I do say where you are and not where you think you should be, because wherever you are is the exact right place to start. Thinking that you need a lot of tools or many academic degrees, or you need to, I don't know, have some perfect genius that arrives right away, or you have to be better than everybody else has ever written a book. All of that is part of how we talk ourselves out of taking our own step forward. So I would say step in right from where you are. All motion is forward motion, as I tell my students all the time. And then I would also say don't go it alone. There's no reason to step into your deeper artistic practice by yourself. You can seek out healthy community. And Dr. JACALYN, I know that you're so aligned with mentors and teachers and collaborators and learning everything that we can from one another. And I think that's especially important for writers to hear, that you can seek healthy community. And I do make a distinction. Not all communities that purport to support writers and are supposedly there to support creative folks are necessarily healthy. So I think it's important to seek out healthy community, and community where you are respected and your work is respected. And we bring a very healthy kind of rigor to the process of helping you bring your own work to life.
Wow.
I love that. Wow. It's amazing.
So much there.
And, we do have some follow-up comments that I think are pertinent to what we're discussing now. So Nat subscribe, thank you. And also writes, I write science fiction and horror. I'm just here to get inspired before I go back to writing. I need a break. And the follow-up is, already wrote 1,400 words this morning. Now I need a coffee and a good show. And then it's back to writing about aliens. I love that, Nat. Thank you.
Looky there. Looky there.
Yes.
Healthy, positive communities. Yay for that. All right. Thank you so much for being here. So you are big on not just the art of writing, but the art of life. And it sounds like you bring them together so nicely.
I hope so. Yeah, I tell folks that I have the privilege of working with that your first job is really not to write books. Your first job is to live an interesting life. Your first job is to, be in the world in the way that you are called to be in the world. Writing is a way to share your voice, raise your voice, empower the voices of others. But we do that by standing as fully as we can inside the self. So writing really starts at home. Self-expression and artistry really starts within. And I think I see a lot of writers who struggle a bit when they outsource their validity or their identity as working creatives, when they're waiting for someone else to confirm that in them. They feel, I sometimes in classes I teach, I say, what does it mean to be a real writer? And I've never gotten the same answer from two people ever. People have different, you have to know how to spell. No, you don't need to. You just need to be published. No, you don't have to be published. You have to write every day. I don't write every day. I'm totally a working writer. No, you need to make money. It doesn't matter how much money you make. Everybody has a different answer. So my question for the folks listening is, what does it mean to you to be a working writer? What does it mean to you to embrace that craft? And how much is the art of living a part of the art of making? Again, I talk to people a lot about presence before productivity, before products. What does it mean to be fully present? And what helps you be fully present? What are the relationships? What are the daily practices? What's the routine of self-care? How much do you laugh? How much do you sleep? Do you care for yourself as the sacred instrument by which you will bring your worth to life? Because if we're just waiting for somebody else to cheer or to pay us or all those really wonderful things, they're all great. But if our identity is waiting for that exterior validation, we will be waiting our whole lives. So now is the chance to take it. And to figure out what that looks like for you uniquely, and to get people to support you from right there.
Great points.
Gosh, Max, you should be a keynote speaker. I'm like blown away, and I'm like, where were you when I was younger? You're
very kind. I think my students, my clients who are listening are probably happily rolling their eyes because they hear me say this a lot.
But we've got a comment from Jennifer. I don't know how to say her last name. Lakshmi
Dove. Yes.
Dove. We love Max. They love you. See that?
They're very, very kind. I've been lucky enough to grow a pretty good-sized community here in Boulder, Colorado. I have a community of peers and a writing guild in Baltimore, Maryland, and Houston, Texas, where I worked for many years. And it's also been really fun to take writers pre-COVID times on writing journeys out into the world. Every year I would take people to Prague in the Czech Republic just to be writers for 10 days, or to different places in the Caribbean, to the Dominican Republic, to the small island of St. John, where I live part-time in the U.S. Virgin Islands, and to see what it is to get writers on the ground experiencing the world as an artist and not just as a tourist, but to really be there to absorb and to write from within a specific place. And so it's really a wonderful way that community can grow when we adventure together.
It sure is. And community's growing already because Nat's reached out to Jennifer. I love this.
Right. There you go.
Well done.
There you go.
So Max, when you're working with people, let's say I've never written anything before, had anything published, and I work with you, and I say, listen, I think I have an interesting life, but I don't know if anyone else would find it interesting, and I'm not sure what the first step is. I'm going to let go of that external validation. I'm here. I'm present. I want to do it. What's the next thing I have to do?
Sure. Great question. I would tell that person you've already taken the first step because we're talking. And I'm sure that if writing is something you love, you didn't start loving it this morning. You probably have loved it your whole life. You were probably a kid who aligned with books. You probably know the last great movie you saw. You probably have a stack of novels next to your bedside table, even if you don't have time to read them. You probably listened to that amazing, weird conversation that happened behind you in line at the bank. You're probably paying attention to writing and to language and to story where it appears in your world. So one of the things we can put down is the idea that you haven't started yet. And we can meet you having already begun. You already have momentum. And then the question will be, how do we build on that momentum? And I would say, what do you love to read? What kinds of stories do you gravitate towards? What kinds of stuff do you love to watch on Netflix? Or what kind of movies are you drawn towards? I would ask whether or not writing or self-expression or artistry was something that was supported in them when they were younger. As it is for many people, or whether it was not. Did someone shut you down in your writing practice? These are the questions that a writing coach asks. Coaching is working with the person. It's helping the individual align their relationship with the practice. And editing, developmental editing, is working with the text. And so I do both. But we have to work with and support the person initially so that the text is a part of their creative life and not asked to hold the whole of their creative life. So I would say you've already begun. Tell me what you love. That old quote, tell me what you love, I'll show you who you are, right? So tell me what you love. Tell me what you're drawn towards. And then talk to me about the stories you might want to tell. Talk to me about genre, prose, poetry, fiction, nonfiction. Let's give you some easy ways to leap in right where you are, and let's support that process along the way. People often don't know what they're capable of until someone comes along and actually believes in them, actually helps them and supports them, and companions them through what feels like it can be a very fraught journey.
Beautiful.
Fascinating. I love that. We've got more comments.
Oh my goodness.
Jennifer, hi, Nat. Connection. Okay. And Nat writes, that's why I write about aliens and monsters. Been into them since I was a kid. That's true. And a follow-up. I also like mysteries, anything unknown or unsolved, anything dark and creepy, anything that makes people question reality. Wow. And sorry, but just wait, there's more. From Jill Kitchen, hello from Boulder. Max is amazing, supportive, insightful teacher and editor. He also introduces his students to such a welcoming community of writers who hold each other up. Wow.
Very kind.
So nice, Jill. Thank you.
So nice. So nice. You know, Max, I really believe how, you write where you are, because that's what I had to do. And I actually had people hold me back because I remembered things that teachers hypnotized me with, and
right.
And then one day I just decided, oh, forget it. I'm going to do it because I've always been a storyteller. Hello.
Yes. Yes.
But also for people listening and you want to write, you can write from things in your past. Like I like to write children's books a lot, right? And so I'll take things from my own childhood. Could you speak about that, about how people who might want to write, but they don't know how to get started, but maybe they had something fun within their own childhood?
Of course. Thank you. That's such a great question. And I love that you use that source when you create your work. There are so many ways to use our own individual experiences. So part of it is just realizing you've lived an interesting life. Everybody hearing the sound of my voice has lived an interesting life already. I sometimes work with writers who are, only 18 or 19, but they've experienced things I probably never have. They live in a world that's slightly different than the world I live in. So everyone has had worthy and interesting experiences. And depending on what genre you want to write in, you may write about your life, say as a memoir writer or as a memoir essayist, or even as a poet. And you might write from your life as a fiction writer. You might source the stories or the events or the characters, the conflicts, the questions, the settings or landscapes from your own life and apply them to fiction and write autobiographically inspired fiction. We can use our lives in so many different ways, but it's seeing them as a source. There's no such thing as pure memory or pure imagination. They're always influencing one another. And so I always encourage people to experiment right from where they are. If you feel like you have some things in your life stories you want to tell, let's start you telling them.
Wow, great.
Yes. And I love what you shared in the beginning, because this is so typical. People will come up with objections of all kinds, right? And it's just, I think it's just fear. It's basically fear of failure, fear of success. And once you actually put that aside, it's easier to move forward.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And I'm going to apologize. This is, of course, the only morning I needed it to be quiet in my studio. And so we have the world's largest truck backing its way down the alley. Of course.
Okay, don't worry about it.
Somebody else on the radio and said, he's doing the one thing he's going to do all year in front of us. Bring the truck now. If there could be like a marching band, that would be great. Could you bring those guys? That would be terrific. Dr. JACALYN, thank you for talking about that. One of the things I really appreciated about your book was the way that you were so forthright and brave in talking about some of the negative messaging that we can experience in our lives, and some of the places where people in your life, didn't honor your physical experience, your emotional or intellectual or creative experience may have closed you down. And then the people who encouraged you and were great mentors to you, even people in your own family who were really wonderful role models and held you up. I think, artistry is a powerful thing. Self-expression is a powerful thing. And so sometimes when we use those powers and we raise our voice, especially when we're young and we're growing up, people can sometimes be afraid of some of the things that we might want to say, of our own personal truths. And they can hold us to a standard that isn't appropriate, or say that's not the right way to write, or you're not good enough at this, or someone else is better. We have to pay attention to where those messages came from. I tell my students all the time, I don't think there's any infant in the world who looks in the mirror and thinks, I look fat in this diaper, right? So I think our ideas about ourselves are evolved from the experiences that we have, right? So I don't think anybody started off with negative messaging about themselves as an artist. I love, hanging out with kids. I have some great little kids in my extended family, and to watch them create and color and make and glue things together and just have a blast. I want every writer I work with to reclaim a little bit of that freedom around self-expression that they may have had, if they were lucky, when they were young. And then we can unpack some of how you got those negative messages and start to really apply some reality to them, and realize that often people are talking about themselves and their own fears, and they're not talking about you. And that, we can have compassion for that without letting it stop us. So if those negative messages came to you from a specific source, our job as artists and writers is to give those back, to not carry those around with us, and to see the proof in our own lives of how untrue those things actually are.
Brilliant. Thank you for that. We have another comment from Lisa. How do you say her last name? Fire?
Oh, Lisa Fear, yes, yes, my wonderful friend Lisa Fear, who is herself a wonderful published memoirist. Great memoir there. Please check out her book.
And she writes, so grateful for all I've learned and continue to learn from Max. Thank you for being here, Lisa. Very nice. And Max, thank you for reading my book. That's huge.
It was such a pleasure. And I know you've got another one. I'm going to bust you here. You've got another one coming out very soon, right? These amazing stories of how people have overcome adversity. I'm really looking forward to that.
Thank you. Thank you. Something I want to share, then have both of you comment on. Diane already knows this, but in the first chapter of my new book, Adversity to Awesome, I have the chapter, and then each author has their own chapter, and I'm putting it all together. But in my chapter, I reveal something that happened to me when I was younger that, 2 or 3 people might know about. And it's going to be an eye opener. And I thought about it, I actually had it in another book, and I just never did anything with it. So my question, Max, is if we have something that happened to us that we want to put it out there, but we're afraid of how it's going to be perceived, again, going back to what we discussed, but yet we feel that it might help one other person who's going through the same thing. Is that enough of a motivator to put it out there?
Yeah, wonderful question, and I get that question a lot in my life as a teacher and as a writing coach and also as an editor. I think what we have survived as human beings has power in it. It has power to comfort, to reach other people. It can make other people feel less alone. So the first question is, what is it? What is that story that you want to tell or would be willing to tell? And why? What's not just what's your goal, or I want to publish the story in this place, but what's your motivation? What's driving you to do that? What do you want to receive back? What do you want to give to people through that story? So I think, what is it that you want to do and how do you want to do it then matters. I encourage people to use the drafting process for those stories more than any other. I think there's a way to reactivate memory without re-traumatizing the body. So we have to use very specific techniques to help authors bring those stories to the page. I think we have to slowly carry them through the drafting process and not expect them to land perfectly right away. And then I think we need to make decisions about where you're putting it forward, what it is you want to receive from it, and then leave yourself open to the conversations that come as a result of it. It can be an incredible way to unburden secrecy. It can break a spell that secrecy casts sometimes in our lives. And we may meet the people who are impacted positively or negatively, but there are a whole round of people. There's an invisible majority of folks out there who will be reached and will be comforted, will be awakened in ways we can't ever see. So we have to open ourselves to the readers we don't meet and not just to those we do. And for those of you who are worried that you might have a story about your life to which your family will object, I will say with great love and respect, that's probably already happening. If you're afraid that your family will disagree with your memory, my guess is they probably already disagree with your memory about something. And that's to take into account, but it should not be something that stops you. When the memoirists that I work with say, I can't ever publish this because my family would be upset, I say, okay, well, let's before your family gets here, let's just work the text. Let's talk about what you want in it, why you're doing it. Let's shape the text to meet your needs. Let's make decisions about what you say and how you say it so that it's bringing you more than it takes away. And then at the end of the day, if you've made a shapely offering and you feel confident about it, you don't send your family an apology. You send them a pen, because they're allowed to tell their own story. There's more than one version of a family story, and people are allowed to express what's true for them. Memoir is a single-seater airplane. It has room for only one truth, only one human story. We don't try to be fair to the world. We write with a great sense of our own ethics and our own value system. It's not an attack, but we don't have to tell everybody's story. We only have to tell our own in a very brave, detailed, considerate, and hopefully slow way. But I applaud you, Dr. JACALYN, for sharing a story that is important to you. I think there's going to be a huge wave of resonance of that story in the world, some of which you might see and some of which you might not. But it's a very powerful thing to do.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I think it's also a good way personally to get closure.
Absolutely. Sure.
Yeah. So helping someone else and also get closure. We're going to take a quick break. I'd love to ask everybody on YouTube to come over to usaglobaltv.com and book your session for your interview, and also subscribe to our channel. We've got 25 live broadcasts this week. So each and every one of them has different content, and we're just thrilled about it. So, all right, let's take a break. We're going to hear first from someone we know and love, and then we'll be back.
Hello, boys and girls, and welcome to Story Garden. Your host, Diann BOEHM. I'm so happy to have you here today.
Diann Floyd BOEHM tells wonderful stories that warm the heart, spark the imagination, and unite people and families across generations. For children, Diann's Harry the Camel connects with all of us who've ever wondered how different our lives might have been if only we'd been born something better, like a wonderful horse instead of an ordinary camel. In the end, we all learn along with Harry that there's nothing better than just being yourself. Diann's Little Girl in the Moon looks down on earthbound children and wonders if they know she's just like them. A story of love, home, and the bond between mother and daughter, its powerful theme that we're each of us different yet all of us the same plants a seed in children that promises to blossom within a loving and trusting grown-up. Diann's new biography, Rise, recounts the experiences of her grandmother, Ruby, to reveal the hidden strength of the human spirit. Ruby's story inspires all of us to become the best versions of ourselves. You'll find all of Dianne's delightful books and much more at DIANNFLOYDBOEHM. Visit DIANNFLOYDBOEHM.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to USA Global TV and Business Talk Radio. I'm Dr. JACALYN KERBECK, and our show today is The Corner Bookstore. Joining me is Diann Floyd BOEHM, who is a co-host. She's an expert presenter on our Talking Heads platform, and she's an elevated listener. And our special guest today is Max REGAN, and he is a developmental editor, a writing coach, a teacher, and the founder of Hollowdeck Press. Welcome back.
Good to see you. Nice to be here.
Nice to have you here. I've also pulled up your website if at some point you'd like us to look at that as well.
Sure. Actually, the website, there's a new website, sort of 2.0 coming your way. So when people go to www.hollowdeckpress.com, funny name, but when they go, you can also just go to maxregan.com, even easier. But when you go there, you'll see an older version of the website, but there is a little link there, a URL link to the classes that I'm teaching currently. And it does show you a little bit, it has a little bit of information about developmental editing and what it means to hire a writing coach and that kind of thing. Just shows you how the basics work.
Perfect. Would you like us to share that or not?
It's a work in progress. So,
okay.
So we'll wait.
We'll keep it under wraps.
When you come back, you can show us your new one.
Yes, it'll be just a little fancier. That's my hope. So I'm not a very fancy guy, but it's important to get people the information they need. So, yep, it's been fun to build it.
Fantastic. Well, good luck on the 2.0. Diann?
You know, Dr. JACALYN, one of the things I learned in your class was, building bold characters, which you helped me with quite a bit. But also, I have heard over time and again about how there's different types of writers.
Yes.
And I thought maybe, I think that's really important because I was like, oh, that's me. It was really fun to discover, oh, that's me. So I'll let you to share with them what, oh, that me.
I loved that conversation we had, Diann, in the class that you were a part of. And it was just so fun to hear how you all met that question. I think it's wonderful for people to take a minute and really honor the predispositions they have as writers. We talked in class about the difference between being wired towards design versus being wired towards discovery. And there's some writers who, if I say, hey, number your page 1 to 10, they calm down immediately. Like, okay, great. I have a structure. I have a form. I don't even know what he's going to ask me to do, but I'm totally calm. And other writers are like, wait, I might have more than 10 things to say. What do you mean 1 to 10? Why not 1 to 20? I feel constrained. Some writers start with design being important to them. They're sort of the list makers. Dr. JACALYN, I know you're a great list maker. I'm a great list maker. I know we love, keeping the clipboards and the to-do lists and things ordered. Some of us are just wired towards having an overview. Those are the people who might want to start with, say, a list of plot points or a bird's eye view of the story they want to tell. They may start with some design documents, and there are many different kinds, from story maps to narrative arcs to plot point lists, all kinds of things, chronologies. If that helps writers enter the practice of telling the story they want to tell, fiction or nonfiction, doesn't matter. That's great. Let's find some techniques that let you begin there. But other writers are different. They start with discovery itself. They're the folks who just want to jump in the car and go for a drive. They don't want to know where they're going. They'll figure it out as they go, right? They don't want to look at the map first. They just want to drive. And those are the folks who pick up the pen, they get an idea, or they're in NaNoWriMo, or they're in a class, or they have a day off, and they just start to write a story. They just start to write a poem. And they don't really want to decide ahead of time what it's leading towards. That's great. You can absolutely start there. So sometimes we call them, planners and pantsers, but I prefer writers who are predisposed to design and predisposed to discovery, or somewhere in between. Sometimes, depending on genre, people will be different in how they enter the practice. So it doesn't mean that designers won't bring in discovery. They absolutely will. And it doesn't mean that writers who love to just write and write and write and then figure it out later won't bring in design. They absolutely will. But as a writing coach, one of the things I do is help people honor the place that they most easily and naturally begin. I talk to people a lot about cultivating discipline, but also cultivating ease, which sometimes is even harder. Cultivating ease is a really, really important practice. We want to build our practice up, and we want to build our work. And there are components to that. There's magic, there's muscle, there's mechanics, and there's momentum. And so I talk about those 4 things a lot when we steer writers wired in different ways towards the work that they want to do.
That was beautiful.
Oh my gosh, I feel like jumping up and down and writing a 3rd book. I'm like, let's get this going.
I know, isn't it powerful? And for those listening, I'm the discovery person, and I'm the person every Sunday. Let's jump in the car and let's go.
Let's go, right? We'll look at the map later.
Yeah, and my husband's like, well, where would you like to go? I don't know. Just head towards the hills.
Excellent.
But
Yeah.
I also loved how you shared in the class, and you did just then too, how eventually you merge.
Absolutely. Yep.
And organization does happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I really want the listeners to know that you are a writer because you tell stories every day. So if you don't know where to start, just start talking and tell your coach yourself, and then go from there, right?
Absolutely. I sometimes tell people to just, we all have a current obsession, whatever it is. Sometimes it's a big thing. What am I going to do with my life? Sometimes it's just, why is the cat making that sound? We have a current obsession. I need to get my tires rotated, or, I'm thinking about this thing in politics. I sometimes ask people to start writing with what's immediately on your mind today. Take one thing off the to-do list that seems like it has some conflict to it, or some back and forth, or some nuance to it, and just start writing about that. Right? Trust that the page can hold it, and trust that it's valuable to do. We build our careers and our momentum and our identity as we go, but we build it through doing. We don't build it through, endless training or deciding. We build it through doing. And I'm a lifelong learner. I'll train in anything. I'll study with anybody. I think that's my absolute wiring. I want to learn as much as I can. That's what I'm here for, right? I want to listen to people. I want to hear people's voices, help them raise their voices. I want to empower people. I want to be empowered. But sometimes we believe there are a lot of qualifications between us and what we most want to do. And so I think it's important to, as as I say to my students all the time, stop, drop, and write. So let's just right here, right now.
Stop, drop, and write. I love it.
I love that too. And we've got more comments, by the way, from our friend Ann. Hi, Ann, OC Publishing. Hi from Halifax, and a fellow developmental editor. Nice to have you with us.
Great.
She's also my publisher, one of them.
Nat writes, for long stuff, I need an outline. For short stories, I usually just I think you pants it. Okay. Yeah. Depends on the story. And we've got someone new. Thank you, Nat. Sandra Crouch. Hello from Hollywood. So grateful to Max, who has helped me develop as a poet as well as a coach, has coached me gently through writing very personal, creative nonfiction pieces. Hi, Sandra.
Great writer. All these
Thank
great
you.
writers and friends who are here. Wonderful to see. Yep.
I hope I didn't miss anyone. Okay.
Good. Max, one of the things that I do, so I have Rise, A Girl's Struggle for More, and you just met OC Publishing there. But also you helped us with a discovery person, writing children's books is a whole different way than writing young adult. And you really helps me go, okay, now I'm really going to have to get organized. So I've turned my whole wall because of you, and I'm organized. But it has helped me so much. And so I just personally want to say thank you. And I know my publisher will be very grateful for that, because there's so many characters. Like, did I leave anyone out? Right. And so that's where that crossover, because I just wrote. And so now I'm in the organizing, and thank you for that. But the real thing I'm going to share with you is that since it takes place in the 1920s, do you like the idea, because this is what I do, and I'd like to know what you would tell your class students or our audience right now, is sometimes I'll put on music of the 1920s that I knew my grandma liked to listen to, or I went to a Goodwill store and I bought some clothes that looked like the 1920s. And I actually sometimes put those on, and then because I like to act on stage, like I'll try to reenact with those clothes to get a feel for how it might flow. And then I looked up, slang and so forth. What do you think about things like that?
I'm a fan. I think you're doing it. I love it. I love every part of it. That is immersive practice as a writer.
Oh, okay.
And it's also somatic practice, because you are having a sensory experience. You're not just trying to keep the whole book inside your brain and your imagination tucked between your ears. You're going and buying clothes. You're feeling things. You're putting things on. You're moving differently in clothes. You're listening to music. You're having an auditory experience, sensory experience. Being a writer is a physical act. People always are a little shocked when I tell them this, but until the day you're going to stick a pencil in your ear and fall asleep on a blank sheet of paper and wake up on a novel, we're going to need the body, right? We need the body. So we take care of the body. We honor the body. We support the body. We feed the body. It is your instrument. You're an athlete. In that sense, this is, you really do need to care for your tools as much as if you were a painter or a dancer caring for their feet, or a sculptor caring for their hands. You need to care for your tools. And it's great to write from a somatic point of view, to have a multi-sensory experience of what you're writing. And as far as possible, to immerse yourself in the mechanics, in the field that your novel or your story takes place in. That can really wake up the way you use language, the way you create character, the way you see conflict, and the way especially that you create those small moments in scene work that make a story feel real, that invite your reader to be immersed in the story that you're creating, because you were immersed as you were creating it. So I think those experiments, I give those exercises all the time to send people out to have an experience as a writer off the page. We don't want to leave our writing identity right at the desk, and we don't want to hold either memory or imagination, which are both muscles, by the way. The more you use them, the stronger they get. But they're not just between your ears. We want to use the rest of the body. That's where it gets fun. So I love that you're doing that, Diane. Good for you.
Good for you, Diane. And you've inspired Nat, who writes, I need to try that. Dress up futuristic and walk around Vegas. That will inspire
Vegas, they won't even blink.
Yes.
Right, they'll just pay you. Yes, in Vegas.
I love it. The next time I see somebody wearing a costume or something, I'm just going to think, you know what? That's an aspiring writer right there.
You're doing research. Yes. Why not? Yeah.
Oh my goodness. We could stay here all day. You are so fantastic. And by the way, I want to thank the people who are watching your fan club, because they've all connected with one another. I think that is
it's a beautiful thing. Yes, I'm really lucky. I work with some of the most amazing people in the world. I do know how lucky I am, and I really feel it every day. So thanks everybody who showed up. I really appreciate it.
Max, we want to have you come back on this or any of our other shows. We've got to have more Max. More Max.
More Max.
I'm a Yapzilla guy. I talk for a living and I love what I do. So I'm always happy to talk about it. I just want to say, how nice it is to be with such working and accomplished writers. I know that you all have both really dug deep to share your stories, your creativity, your imagination, to reach out to children, to adults, to entrepreneurs, to people who need to hear the messages that come from your experience of living. And I really just want to say how lovely it is to be with folks who are engaged in that work. It's really inspiring.
Oh, thank
Oh.
you. Back at
Thank
you.
you.
So, Max, we've been showing your banner, but for people who are unable to read it or they're listening on the radio, I'm going to spotlight you again. And if you could share what's the best way to reach you and who would you like to contact you?
Sure. Yeah. I'm obviously like all editors and coaches, we're not the right people to help everybody, but I will always try to help you find somebody who is. So I'm not an expert at everything, but I really love what I do. So if you're somebody who has an idea or wants to build a writing practice, if you have a book that's stalled or stopped, if you're interested in a writing class or you want to know more about writing coaching, if you're trying to figure out how to locate local resources there where you live, please just reach out. If there's any way I can help, I'd be happy to. You can always reach me by my website. My email and all my contact information is there. That older version of my website is still up. The new one's on its way. And that is just www.hollow, like empty, deck, like the deck of a ship, press, like to push, all one word, hollowdeckpress.com, or you can just go to maxregan.com, much easier. And you can click on the contact page. There's a coaching and editing page there that'll describe what I do. And there is also a URL link to the classes that I'm offering in the spring and summer. If there's anything you want to just jump in on for a day or check something out, or I do a great big retreat for 10 days for working writers coming up in June. So there's a lot of offerings there. And I'm also very proud and privileged to sponsor the work of other teachers who I really respect, who give book lectures and teach classes for me throughout the year. So that's always fun as well. So if I can help, please reach out.
Thank you, Max. Before you go, we've got a lot of comments, which we want to pay respect to everyone who's commenting. OC Publishing, Anne, he's so fun to listen to. Thank you, Anne. And our new friend, Nat. Big thanks to everyone. Thumbs up and subscribe. Thank you. We love the fact that you subscribed. Great. Let's see. Great vibe here. Thank you.
Yes.
From Sandra, there's never enough Max. So inspiring. From Anne, would love to collaborate. There you go. From Lisa, more Max. Thanks for such an incredible program today. And from Jennifer, Max has been my teacher and friend since we first met in 2006. I'm a devoted student. Highly recommend working with him.
Thank you.
But wait, there's more.
There's more.
Nat, right? So glad I found this channel. We're so glad you found the channel. Thank you, Nat.
Absolutely.
And from Jill, yes, we always need more Max. I've been a student since 2011 and can't imagine my writing life without Max.
Very kind. Very kind. Thank you
Wow.
so much, everybody.
Oh my gosh. If it was
So kind.
possible for Diane, for the two of you to just continue and I could go do the other show, but it doesn't work.
Diane and I could just talk all day. Absolutely. Yeah.
All right, Max, thank you again for bringing so much wonderful content to our show today. And please do come back and see us on this or any of our other shows.
I would be happy to. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Thank you for providing just such a high quality forum. It's such a pleasure. And thank you, Diane, for the invitation.
You're welcome.
Had
We
you
love you. I'll
All
see
right,
you.
hope to
Talk
see
to
you
you
again soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Wow, Diane. I forgot to ask him if he does guided meditations. He would be great. He's got like a perfect voice. I don't know. I just love the sound of his voice.
I know.
Although I don't think I'd be relaxing though. I think he's more for running, leading classes. Yeah.
I know. Don't you feel like so excited? You want to just sit there and just, yeah. Oh, wait, right. No. Immerse, right. Get busy. Right.
We've got another comment from Lisa. I've been a student of Max since 2010, cherish what I learn, appreciate the constant support to learn from all teachers and one another. What a fabulous community.
Yeah, he has a great community. I'm so glad. Thank you all for listening.
Thank you so much for watching and listening. He's a motivator for sure.
Yeah.
All right, Diane, I'm going to spotlight you. And if you could share with people how they can get in touch with you and who you'd like to collaborate with.
Sure, I'll be happy to. Thank you, Dr. JACALYN. Hello, everyone, and thank you for listening to the show. You can reach me at my website, DIANNFLOYD.BAME.com, DIANNFLOYD, B as in boy, OEHM.com. And
much like Max, in the sense that I love going to schools, doing keynotes, inspiring people to be the best they can be, help people with writing. And of course, I'm on 3 of Dr. Jacalyn's USA Global TV shows, so you can find me there. And I am always ready to help people whenever I can. Thank you, Dr. Jacalyn.
Diane, don't forget you have your own show on Talking Heads.
Oh, yeah, that's right. See, I can't keep up with it all. So on Talking Heads, I have my own show through USA Global TV, and it allows me to share with you great ways to get started writing your own books, how to build both characters. The next one coming up is imagination, and I'm very proud of them, very excited. And of course, you can find all my books on Amazon.com, Barnes & Noble, and your local bookstores. And OC Publishing is one of my publishers, along with Texas Sister Press. Thank you.
Thanks, Diane. It's great seeing you.
Great seeing you too. What a fun show.
I know, it's a great show. Thanks again to Max and to everybody for watching. And Diane, I'll see you next week.
Yes. Have a great weekend. Bye, everybody.
Bye. Our next show coming up is the Film and Music Show, and we have an aspiring actor and poet who is joining us. I believe he's in the UK. His name is David Addison, so do stay tuned for that, and that will be followed up by The Wise Ones, and our guest is Sandy Lawrence. And then our next show, for the last show of the day, is our Talking Head show, and our expert presenter is Red O'Loughlin. If you'd like to be on our Talking Heads team, you need to have 5 years experience in your role. You have to have stage presence, and you have to be a great presenter, and you have to be regarded as an expert in your field. You can contact me directly. We're looking for 2 more people to be on our elite team of presenters on Talking Heads. And I'll put my contact information there, but you can reach me at Jacalyn@drjacalyn.com on my personal website. Okay, that's all we have for right now. We're going to close out so we can start the next show. I just want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And if you would subscribe to our channel, that would be great. If you'd like to be a guest on any of our shows, except for the ones where the co-hosts do the inviting, and that says it's listed there, go over to our website, usaglobaltv.com, book your session. As I mentioned earlier, this week we have 25 live broadcasts. We normally have between 20 and 25, but it's actually going to be going to 30 soon. When will I sleep? Okay, thank you again for being here. Thanks, Diane. Thanks, Max. It's been an honor and a privilege to be here with you today. Bye.